Hi folks, Tim here. Welcome back to Elmendorf Acres. Well, it's a chilly day up here at the wood lot, and it's about 15 degrees Fahrenheit right now, which for those of you who operate off Celsius, I guess that's about 10 below. Our plan for the day is we've got to cut in an access road to this lot. Right now we've been using the neighboring property to get through and to access this. So we're going to start that today. We've cleared out a lot of the underbrush, and we're going to start with the next size up trees today. We've been waiting for the ground to freeze. That way we don't rut things up too bad. This is going to be a multi-year project as we work on cutting the access driveway through, cutting the trees out, stumping everything, bringing in road material, and eventually running electric up here. So it's definitely a multi-year project. Some of it depends on how much time we have during the winter. Some of it depends on how the finances are, but that is the plan for today. So we're gonna drop some trees and skid some logs, and anything good for firewood we'll put off to the side. As you can see, we've got some snow behind me. We just got done with probably a 2-inch snowstorm yesterday, but that was on top of the snow we had about a week and a half ago, which was about a 12-inch storm, and then right after that we had a 3 to 6-inch storm with some rain afterwards and warm temps. So most of it melted, but we've still got some up here in the woods, as you can see. And our equipment over here is a little bit snowy. We've got our Wolfe Ridge under a tarp. That's our conveyor. What we've done with that, rather than trying to tarp it, is I just took a piece of plywood and I just put it over top of the engine. Keeps all the rain and snow out of it. And then the dump trailer tilted up a little bit, but it's definitely got some snow in it right now. So got some tires up there, but we got Owen is up switching the grapple out on the Massey. So that's our plan, is grappling some logs out, stacking stuff for firewood and log length. And what I'll do is I'll keep it sorted. There's a few dead oak trees, so we'll put them off to the side. That way we can process them sooner. And then the green stuff, excuse me, we'll put off in another pile. And another interesting thing, one of my customers contacted me the other day and said they wanted to buy 25 mushroom logs. Now, that's a little bit of an interesting one, something that we've never sold before. We are a little bit familiar with it. If you grow your own mushrooms, I'm not talking about the hallucinogenic kind, but the kind that are edible that you're gonna eat with your dinner, whether they be the lion mane, the shiitake, there's so many different ones. But one of the mediums that they grow really, really well in is an oak tree. And we happen to be cutting a lot of oak today, so we'll be cutting some mushroom logs for one of our customers. He wants them, like I said, about 25 of them, 3 feet long or so, and anything from 4 to 8 inches in diameter. So we've got quite a few of those to cut, and just something a little bit different. Well, that went well. Nothing really unexpected. As I was getting ready to start the back cut, I actually had to cut about 2 inches higher than I wanted to because of some barbed wire that I saw just as I was getting ready to start that lower back cut. So there was barbed wire in this tree from when it was a farm, probably 70 years ago. Back in the early 1900s, this whole area was farm, and I'm sure much before that. But in the early part of the 1900s, this area actually provided beef and pork for the Ashokan Reservoir as the reservoir was being built. So every now and then we'll find some barbed wire. So talking with the local farmer, he said the last time this was actually used as a farm was somewhere in the 60s. So I guess that's about 60 years ago, as we're in the 2020s now. But when it was originally and initially laid out as a farm, it was hundreds of years ago. One neat thing about working in this area, and they pop really well with the snow, is if you look over there, you can see stone walls. There's stone walls everywhere in this area. The other side of the truck there, you can see there's some down there. So this was all farmland. None of this was wooded 100 years ago. It was all farmland. The only thing you did have back then was the boundary trees or the wall trees, the trees that were right on the property lines or on the stone walls that they let grow, and they ran barbed wire through. Here's a good example here, looking at one. Let's see. Just looking at this tree from a distance, looks like it has had barbed wire through it. You can see the scarring at the base up to about 3 feet. And as I come in closer, yes, I can see that there is still barbed wire in this tree. So we find those with the chainsaws. Messes up the chain, sometimes breaks teeth. But you can see I've got barbed wire here, regular non-barbed wire here, and then this is more barbed wire that's grown in. So you can see how it scarred the bottom of the tree. We'll end up using that for firewood. It's not on the hit list for today as far as what to take down, but still a pretty healthy tree as you look up it. So, some pretty cool trees around here. Nice red oaks. This one is probably going to come down, that bigger one. It's got some scarring on the other side, so I'd like to get rid of that. And then that pine tree right there, you see all the woodpecker holes in it. At some point we'll take that one down too. It's no longer actively used for the birds, so we'll take that down. There's a little pine tree here that'll grow in and fill it, fill in the hole that was left by us cutting it. And you can see more of the rock walls here. Then there's some big old pine trees. Got this big old pine tree here. Way up there is all gnarly. So there's been a little problem with some of the pines spontaneously dying. I am a little worried about that. This one is probably going to come down just because it's going to be right alongside the driveway. You can see the remnants of an old wall here, and we're actually running the driveway just this side right through here. So a couple more of these trees are going to be coming down. What we're doing right now is just kind of taking out the small stuff that we can easily handle with the tractor and the grapple, burn the brush. You see we got a pile of brush here that we're going to be burning. Owen's been running it up the hill where we usually burn. And then if you look kind of through there, you can almost see the hole that we're going for a driveway. There's an old wood road up there. Some of this area borders an old wood road, so it was kind of a natural place to run a driveway through. And then you can see, let's see, right here, see that tree that forms an X? It's a pine tree intertwined with an oak tree, and up top there's another oak tree that leans in. So we're going to be taking out the leaning oak, which is a small rock oak, the other leaning oak, which is another rock oak, and then that pine tree. That whole cluster is going to come out. I don't like it. Just doesn't feel healthy. And then this rock oak here, this nice straight one, we're planning to leave that. I figure that'll be a nice tree along the driveway. And down through the driveway that way We've left a couple beech trees, which are a little bit unusual in this area. So Owen's grabbing some firewood, some red maple or soft maple. But this is that oak tree I just took down. It was dead. Been dead for about a year, probably. Fully dead for about a year. It's been dying for a couple. We've been watching it. But left that stump up a little bit higher just because there's some barbed wire down in the bottom. Came down nice and neat. Wasn't much of a top. And we didn't damage anything that we were trying to leave. So this little pine tree right here, you see this little guy, we're probably going to leave that one, at least for now. Some of this stuff we're slowly deciding what to cut and what not to cut, just based off of what we're seeing and the health of things. You know, one of the things that I like to see is a pine tree that has room to grow up. If this one grows up, it's going to end right up in the top of that oak tree. However, that oak tree is right along the driveway, and it's got a scar all the way down it, along with woodpecker holes in it. So we will probably end up taking that oak tree at some point and letting that pine tree fill its place. I would much prefer to have a hardwood forest than a softwood forest. I like the deciduous over the pine, but the pine and the hemlock are nice to have as well. I just don't like a whole lot of it. So if we can thin some of those out and let those maples, the oaks, we've got hickory in here, we've got beech in here. The ash is all gone due to the emerald ash borer. We're still cutting some dead, but that's all gone. We've got a great selection of red, white, rock, and black oak. So we're very oak heavy here. Down in the back more, or up by our woodyard more, there's a pretty good grove of hickory, and then there's some beech spattered throughout. And then all the way at the back of the property, where it gets kind of cliffy, if I could put it that way, where the terrain gets more rugged, is our sugar maple or our hard maple grove. So we are trying to, as we work through, occasionally I'll find a small hard maple or a small sugar maple. We try to mark that and save that. There's also, I think, 2 clusters of mountain laurel on the property. We flagged those off to save those as well. It's kind of a neat thing. I remember when I was a kid growing up, and this is, 30 years ago, maybe a little more, but I remember this area being much more dense, and the trees have grown up a lot, and the mountain laurel has all but disappeared. So we've got 2 little groves of it, and when I say grove, it's only 3 or 4 plants, but we're going to try to preserve those and help them come back in here a little bit. So that's just a couple thoughts and plans for the property, along with, you can kind of see what we're doing here. So like I said, we're working on cutting our driveway through, and you can see these smaller pine logs Owen has been grabbing with the grapple, and these all become firewood for the maple syrup evaporator. So we're essentially running zero waste as we can. The tops and the branches we are burning rather than chipping, because it's a lot more cost and time effective for us. But other than that, almost everything is getting used. Every now and then we'll come across something really dead and rotten, and that goes on the fire too. Oh, there's some birch. I forgot to mention that. So we've got kind of a paper birch there, and we used to call it black birch. I'm not really sure what the technical name is for it. They tend to not do well. They hit a certain age and just die off. That one actually has some barbed wire in it, so that's an old one. But that's our black birches, and they do tend to die off fairly quickly. There's a couple white birches marked as property line down behind the wall, and they are all dead. So once they hit a certain point, they just die off. I'll walk through here a little bit. You can kind of see that, especially this part, is just naturally open. So we're kind of working our way through here. Like I said, it was an old wood road back in the, probably the the 60s. So that's an interesting factor. When I said that this area was farmland in the 60s, this piece of property was actually logged in the early 70s. So this particular lot has not been farmed probably since the late teens or early 20s, so probably 100 years. And like I said, they logged it back in the 70s, and it really hasn't been touched much since then, other than some work with cutting out the dead and thinning things out. So a lot of these trees, as we're counting rings, they are old growth. They're smaller, but they're old. And then as we go up the line more, there's some bigger walls and some absolutely massive oak trees that, if I can look at something like that and judge off of some of the rings that we've counted on these smaller trees, those oak trees have got to be every bit of 150, if not 200 years old. I think the biggest one that I counted over in West Shokan was, if my memory serves me correct, I counted 175 rings. I could be wrong. I didn't write it down. I should have taken a picture, but right in that 175-year-old mark. So if you figure that out, that tree was it had died, and we took it down. It was in somebody's yard. Took it down for the safety of the grandkids. But if you figure that out, just round numbers, let's say we're 2025 now, and you take that 175, that tree's from the 1850s, or potentially younger, potentially the 1840s, 1830s. You know, that tree was around during the Civil War. It's a long time ago. So anyway, just a little tour of what we're doing today and cutting some trees. Okay, so I'm a little out of breath. It's amazing how out of shape you get riding a mower all summer long. Anyway, we've got the first solid 300 feet roughed in pretty good. I've gone past that about another, I would say 100 to 150. We're doing everything right now with the tractor and the grapple. I don't have an excavator here to pop stumps or move some of these big rocks. There's some big rocks frozen in the ground that the tractor just won't touch. But let me turn you around this way. Straight through there, you've got this tree right here. The road's gonna go just slightly to the right of that tree. That tree still needs to come out. But I'm leaving that right now because it's a good saw log. So that's gonna go to the mill. And we're just trying to clean out everything that's not gonna go to the mill first. And then I can set up a log landing. We do have a good spot for that over there. And we can set up a log landing. And I'll probably use the International to haul them. The one hardwood place is not too far away. They don't pay super well, but it's enough to get a little bit more than firewood, especially even though it's smaller, we got some nice straight stuff like that. So I'll give you the slow turn here, and you can kind of see where Owen has been going. My saw is sitting right about there. There's a dead oak tree here, right about there. So we kind of follow this wall, and then we have to cut back in this way. So, like I said, we've got about a 50-foot swath that we can work in. This particular area is probably closer to 60 or 70, but once it comes down to where the two other properties join, it gets a little tighter. So we're going to end up going just about straight through that maple tree there, which means that this little cluster right here has to come out still. The beech, the red oak, and the black birch need to come out. That maple, and then there's a hemlock behind it, come out. And then there's another red oak and a pine past that. Once those, what do we have, 7 trees, and only 2 of them are larger. Once those 7 trees are out, the first 500 feet will be cut in. Maybe you can see my truck through the woods down there. That's about the 500-foot mark. That brush pile is sitting at about 450 feet that we've cut in. So that's pretty good. We did do some of this last year, so I can't say we cut 500 feet in a day. That's definitely not accurate. And some of it was old wood road, so we hooked in some of the old wood road. Just past this maple tree here is where the old wood road wides back in. So we get on that wood road for about 100 feet. So I only had to cut brush and more recent growth out of that. So trying to be respectful of what's already here, trying to be respectful of property lines, or I should rephrase that. We're definitely being respectful of property lines. The one neighbor is family. He's already told me that we can take stuff over the line, which is all well and good, but I really don't want to do it. The other neighbor, I've told them we won't cut anything, and they said if it's down or something like that, feel free to cut it. So we've cleaned up a little bit of their property line as we went along, just because it was easy to grab and drop in the fire. But we've got probably 6 or 7 trees left to cut today, and then we're going to call it a day. Fire's going to take a while to burn down, and it'll take a while to clean these ones up. And it also just started snowing, so they're calling for a little bit of snow overnight tonight and tomorrow. So we got to get back into snowplow mode, but we wanted to get some of this cut in, especially while the ground was frozen, because we were able to get through this whole thing without making any mud at all, and that was a real key. Last year it never froze, so that's a pretty big deal for us. So you can see behind us here, still got a little more to do. That's actually the one property marker there, and it cuts away this side over to my left. So that one tree came down right alongside the property line. We're cleaning that up, and then we're coming right through here. So that'll be the next step. As always, thank you for watching Elmendorf Acres. We are just shy of that 1,000 subscriber mark as of recording this video. We're at 965. So we only need 35 to go, and would very much appreciate it if you have not done so already. Please subscribe. Thank you.